doppelganger.
You know what's crazy is a couple of months or weeks into it, I even had like random people just hit me up on social media, people I never even met before or knew we were friends. They're like, hey, I really see what you're doing. I just want you to know it, like, it's inspiring me, or it made me get through this whatever, or can we talk? And I'm like, really? Yeah, all right.
Once you start using your voice, that I can attest to that one. Maybe that's the topic.
Well,
Like what it's like starting to use my voice, you know, and
I mean that's your personal journey. Yeah,
that's my personal.
I don't mind.
Yeah,
I don't mind. Like literally. So we said normally what we do is we'll sit down. We call it Coach's Corner. We'll sit. We'll talk. Kind of share like what we've. There's a lot of our community itself is like super interesting. We built a lot of different things. Oh, the fan. Yeah. We've had a lot of like the conversations in here are crazy, right? Like so like and what I mean by that is like a lot of times. People will be so honest in here that it literally ends up changing someone's life. I've gone to other spaces and there's a lot of conversation, but there's not a lot of real talking to one another. It's like talking at each other instead of to each other. So when I open this space, first of all, as I try to make sure I say, and I don't say this lightly, but I do mean it. I didn't want to leave. Right? Like all I wanted to do was create a space where people could really seek their change and be genuine in it, right? Everybody didn't want to lose weight. Everybody didn't want to, some people would come in, my favorite thing to hear is make me look like I looked in high school, which ain't true, right? And it's one of those things where like learning to listen to people meant actually listening to people. Some of the things they say, some of the things they don't. So when we open, like I'm telling you, there was no business plan. I literally was like, listen, I love helping people. I'm gonna leave this mechanical engineer job, and I'm gonna try this, and we're gonna see if it works, right? So I had worked myself up from like I was a high school dropout to a mechanical engineer, which is dope, right? And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna quit this and go do fitness. Like all I did was hoop through high school. I didn't work out. I didn't work out none of that. Like a lot of people think I have a workout background, but I don't. It's only the last like let's say 10 years, right? So I like to start our conversation from spaces that make sense. Using your voice is absolutely a thing, bro. All my work was behind the scenes. Everything I did was hush hush. And then I opened the space and I was like, that's literally we were signing a thing. I was like, so what are you gonna do? I was like, I just feel like I'm listening to God, whatever he say, right? And so that, I feel like, is what makes our space different. I don't lead by trying to be the most boastful, most seen person. I usually, literally, we have people walking all the time and they think he owns the space. It's the most hilarious thing ever.
Every time.
Right? And I'm not, it's like one of those, it's like a proud of it moment, fair? And I say a proud of it moment because that's what I wanted to be. I've always wanted to be the great man. We've talked about this. I like to live like, the men of old, right? Like I like to be a warrior poet. I'm not trying to put myself out there and be like, look how amazing I am. But I still want to be able to dismantle you if I have to. Like that's my thing. Protect my family, keep the community I built safe like that, right? So we set out to build that, and that's kind of how what we saw now. Hence you coming in, right?
Yeah.
You know, you want to share your story? Share your story.
It's been a while.
So you want to talk about that throat chakra, dog?
Yeah, all right. So I came into space pretty much in a spot of floating through life, actually feeling stagnant, not really knowing what I wanted to do with a career. I'm like just now, I've been at this space for almost...
You're going a year and a half.
Almost 2 years. Yeah.
And now you're already the owner, so you're doing something, right?
Yeah, and I'm already the owner. So like, but I've been here for 2 years, and before this, I like didn't have much I had no background in like training. I had a background in dance. That was about it, and I was struggling. Like I'm just now looking at my finances, creating a budget for the first time. Like that's where I'm at. I knew I wanted to dance. I knew I wanted to create community. And the only reason I say create is because I hadn't seen a community space that I could get involved in that didn't make me feel like, I can't, something about this, I can't like be real. I can't grow into being real. Yeah. And I think that was important that I found this space and that we connected the way that we did. Like when we first met, I was quiet. But I felt like our relationship was like, I'm sure you didn't, but like, I felt like our relationship was like this. You know, I just wasn't saying anything. You know, I was just like, I would talk behind his back and be like, yo, this man,
I'm crass.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I come across like an asshole to a lot of people, and it's because I'm so honest.
Right.
And it's the space, it's the thing, it's the setup, right? So a lot of people who come in here, again, we have like a lot of queer people who come in here and they'll say, man, this space feels like a really safe space, like the first queer space I've been in, and I'm like, the space ain't queer. Like it never has been, but because I'm so trying my best to literally lead by being authentic and being honest and being open. So somebody say something like, that's bullshit, and we'll just talk, like literally have real conversation about it.
Yep.
That right there created difference. We had people come in with their own agendas and things, and we're like, cool, but you won't be here long, right?
Right.
Like it's not even.
And not even have to push you out.
It just happens, right? It happens.
So I said
that's
this.
what make it funny.
I said this the other day. I said this to a client. I was like, we don't have to push anyone out because this healing space and this light, if you're in a spot of darkness that you're not ready to receive it, like it feels like immersing yourself in a bath of Lyle. Like, and holding yourself there. Like, that's what it feels like. And I see people just like, it burns, I gotta get out of here. And like, at the same time, I also see those same people, like, when the time is right, coming, like, knowing where their healing is, coming back and wanting to plug in. And that's beautiful. Like, I haven't seen a space like this, and now I'm trying to take a page from your book on how you created this space so that I can create other spaces like this.
Sure.
And it took me humbling myself, starting to use my voice. There were so many times I was being quiet, but in my head I was being petty, you know, or I had ego behind something. And like, he was the first to see it and call it out. And I'm like, dang, I gotta own a lot of this stuff. But it's helped me find like who I am as a person, you know, like who I am as a man. Stopped running from a lot of like labels and stuff. I've been able to talk what my inner machinations are, just put them out there without trying to like filter it through how is this person gonna take it. And that's a beautiful space. It's like, I'm just talking now. And this is the first time I've ever just like in conversation been talking. Like I can talk, but like,
Nah, you being honest though.
yeah, but being honest in conversation, like, oh yeah, that's fucked up, or that made me feel bad.
Yeah,
like
I just wouldn't do that shit from across the room. You realize that, right? Like, okay, so what's so dope is like we're gonna use terms so people understand what we talking about, right? Like I told you a long time ago, I didn't have the terms, but I definitely did the work to be healed, right? So a lot of being in this space was like, people would be like, well, what's that? I'm like, I don't fucking know. And then later they tell me, I'm like, oh, well, it's because of this, because I would learn. Like, this space helped me heal as much as I've helped other people heal. I feel like that's what healing space is supposed to do.
That's what it's
right?
supposed to do.
So, again, I said I did the work to heal, but I didn't have the words to express how I healed. So then I got the words, and that's where, like, that's what we talking about. You said the throat chakra, the other stuff. Like, telling people, like, well, I'm technically an empath. I have been denying that for years. My PTSD had to come from all that war-torn stuff I see. And I'm like, why do I feel so heavily, right? Like, literally, when I came back, I had to sit in a room, and I couldn't even sleep in the same bed with my wife, right? I have a 2-year-old daughter. That's hard. Like, to not even be able to sit and spend. So I did the work to get myself out of that room, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, right? So after that, people are like, what's the word? I don't fucking know. I just, look, I know what I did. I went to the gym. I breathed a lot. I said, I don't have the words. But
that's actually facts. It sounds funny.
It sounds like I'm being funny. But I was like, but that's what, when people would ask, they'd be like, man, I saw you a year ago. And then I bust this up, right? I was all jacked up. And I'm just trying to get through, right? Imagine you literally planned out your 20 years, and then you go get your wisdom teeth pulled, and they tell you got hemophilia B, which is the rarest form of hemophilia. So my whole 20-year plan is now shot down in 4, right? You got, your whole life changes. Depression is gonna be a thing. Anxiety is gonna be a thing, right? We hear it all the time about vets, and I ain't gonna go into that. But at the same time, that's the hard part is coming back, right? Realizing I used to sit at the dinner table and not talk. Everybody think it was crazy. I'm like, nah, this is what we do. Like, this is how I was in a big unit, but we were very efficient. So like a lot of different things that I had to do and see, I just wasn't used to interacting with my family.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't that I didn't want to, it's just that I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to create new normal. So being in that room, again, there's a lot of self-reflection, light, shadow work that happens at that same time, right? We talk about that balancing here and now. So those words were not words I had at the time. So when people asked, I was just like, I just breathed in a room, motherfucker. I don't know. Like,
Shadow work.
and they would get mad, and I'd be like, I'm not trying to belittle what you're doing. That's what I know.
Hashtag shadow work.
Yeah.
Breathe in a room.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of it really was, I just didn't have the words. And so when we opened the space, that's why I said a lot of people helped me heal in here too. And one lady's like, "You're an empath." I'm like, nah, I'm not an empath. What is that? Like, don't give me labels I don't understand.
Oh, maybe I am.
Like, explain it.
Technically, I am an
Okay,
empath.
I guess so.
That's what, so it's good. Like you learn. That was my whole yoga journey, by the way. Like that was the whole setup. I hated yoga for so long because all I saw was certain versions of it that I was like, that shit's trash. Like it's all the expression and people tearing their shoulders up. I'm like, this looked terrible. And then I became part of Yoga for Good. I got certified literally my third class in. We've talked about this. My first class, I spoke in tongues for the first time as a Christian man. Never had happened before. I went to yoga. It happened on my first class during Shavasana. And then my second time in, I was asked to teach. Like literally, my second class, never had gone before, second class. So imagine I've just gotten myself out of this terrible space, and I go to this to try to, I've already been healing for like 4 years. And I go here, and she's like, "Hey, you want to become a yoga teacher?" And I was like,
Yes.
That's really how
That's
it
how.
went.
That sounds like how kickboxing happened for me.
I mean, right?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
like to think that the biggest things in our lives come from the saying of yes, right? Again, there's the throat chakra thing.
Gotta say something.
So like even Dom being here today, right? You know, you don't mind if I call you Dom, right?
You can call me whatever you want to call me.
Okay, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I
want
don't
to
do that.
You want to be called, but
Not within limitations, yes.
There is a line.
Yeah, certain things I will not accept.
okay, fair. So like I like to think of it as again, learning to use our voice is absolutely a thing. I saw Dom working with Brett and them, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like I don't know. I didn't even know who Dom was, but we look like we'd be cool. I'm like, this motherfucker dipping in rivers. Okay, first of all, this is me being honest. I don't know if it's gonna get censored. I'm black as hell, so I'm not dipping in no river. I'm not going out to no river and just putting my body in water for no reason. Like,
middle of winter.
I'm not cold plunging, right?
Definitely
I
not
didn't
in the
run.
winter.
I didn't cold plunge. I ain't do it. And again, I didn't know why. I just was like, nah, I don't do that. We black, we don't do that, right? But ironically, when I found out what it was for, I realized, oh, you guys are inducing trauma on your body or creating stress in order to facilitate a change. I don't have to do that. I wake up like that. That's why I don't want to do it. Right? Like that's it. You get what I'm saying? I was like, I grew up with a lot of trauma, so I don't need to create stress. I'm trying to get out of stress. Again, the journey is from the other
Pendulum
side.
swing to the center.
It's not one's not better than the other.
Facts.
Which is I hear that shit all the time. Oh, find your inner light. I was like, I got this big ass light. I don't know how to share it with y'all. Right? Like that was my thing. So now, remember, we talked about this a year ago, yoga, right? So I'm getting the Dom because this is important. So you probably don't remember this, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. You remember us talking about the whole, how you asked me about yoga and I told you why I didn't teach. What happened the week after I said that? Do you remember?
You got asked to teach?
Literally.
Yeah.
And difficultly, because I had to watch my son. So my wife had checked out that night, and I had to work 12 hours straight, and then I had to
I
teach
came to
a
that
yoga
class. That was a
class.
Wednesday,
You were
right?
In that class.
I was in that class. That was a fire class, I will say.
And I was like, fucking hate yoga so much at this point in my life. I was like, it's, because it's rough. I haven't been on my mat like that. My son takes up my early mornings. He's only one. Like, he was 5 months old. So I'm like, fuck this. I'm not doing that. Like, getting down is now a chore. But ironically, at the beginning, I used to call him my yogi sensei.
Yeah, because you'd be on the mat together.
Because I get down and he would do some pose and I would do the same pose and we would breathe together. But growing this took me away from home, which made that connection go a little bit. So I bring back Dom because when Dom reached out, remember we've been talking about it, said let's do more in the community, right? I said I think we're finally at a space where we can take what we do, which is original as hell, right? And bring it to other things, places and spaces. And we literally do it all. We do yoga, we do cardio, we do strength training, like the whole nine, right? So when Dom reached out, I was like, I don't know. Like literally, that happens every time.
I felt that too. In my,
where you just be
I'm
like,
not trying to be a dick. I just don't be doing it. Like because we work with so many people, and it feels not organic. So like we did Hike Yoga Fest, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna be funny. When we did Hike Yoga Fest, I didn't know Nicole. My wife had reached out to Nicole. We got to know each other, et cetera, et cetera. She's dope, by the way. But it was not my thing. Like legitimately, I was like, nah. This ain't, again, I want to get back to my community. Yes! I want to get back to my community. Over COVID, I taught for free in the city. Right? Like so going out to here just didn't feel right,
connective,
to me, right? And then there was this performative piece that I saw happening that I didn't want to participate in. So they kept asking me to do stuff, and I was like, nah. I was fighting it, right? So then Nicole came up to me. I said, this is gonna sound crazy, but I changed my whole list, and it's black as fuck, and I don't know how you're gonna feel about that. She was like, go ahead and do your thing. I was holding back from, Nicole wanted me to be me, but I thought she wanted me to perform. So my holding back, you get what I'm saying? I kept myself out of space, assuming what she was doing. Transfer to Dom, right? That motherfucker don't want that. He just want to take advantage of him. Literally.
I love that you said that because that is like, I think the biggest disconnect in community and communication is projection, right? I just said it earlier to a client. They just started a new job and they were like, it's stressful. I haven't been eating. I just wanted to be honest. And I was like, okay, what's the stress from? Is the job like actually stressful? She's like, nah. Okay, what is it? And then she was like, I don't know, like just being in a new environment and not knowing how to be me. And like other day I was eating lunch and I went to go warm up lunch in the microwave, but I didn't even warm it up. I just ate it cold because it was black and I didn't want the room to smell like black, like soul cooking food,
soul
right?
Food.
Like soul food.
Soul cooking food?
Yeah, why'd I say it like that?
I don't know.
She said it. She didn't say soul food. She said I didn't want the room to smell like black food, and I was like, you mean soul food?
Like tasty.
And I was like, what you have? She had collard greens. She had collard greens. She had something else.
Collard greens.
Yeah, she had collard greens. Right.
People be killing me. And again, you create your own prison, because if you really think about it, nobody gives Dom gives a shit, but he's doing what he wants to do, and I could just add to it or have a conversation about it. But the fear of having your things taken away, it's like somebody coming in and taking your toys.
Yeah, and it's the fear around that. I was like, listen, my mom told me that there's a Nelson Mandela quote where he was like, when we go into the workforce, now that we're not slaves anymore, like when we go into the workforce, we should be unabashedly black. We'd be doing ourselves a disservice generationally if we don't, right? And my mom brought up that quote when I moved here. I started like reconnecting with her, and she was like, I feel like I failed you. I want to apologize to you because I gave you all these tools, but I wasn't an example of that. She was like, when I went into, she's in the automotive industry, so, and she was like, I didn't go in being myself, nor did I teach you to go into spaces being unabashedly who you are. And I just told Cora that, and she was like, yeah, you're right. Like, thanks for saying that. But I think I got some of that from you. Like, you are walking in, I'm not changing, like, I know who I am, or even if I'm discovering who I am, when I go into space, I'm not changing. I'm not going to put on a mask. I'm not going to perform in any way. And I'm going to stand on whatever it is that I believe and that I know. And that was the first time I've seen it. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be the first time I've seen it, but it literally is the first example I've seen up close where I'm like, oh shit, I can do that too. He says all the time, I'm not special. I'm like, yeah, I believe it in the fact that I can do it too. And so can you. So can like everyone here and everyone who comes into space. And I think that's the ethos you're creating that's different. You know, it's like, you don't have to change, you don't have to hide. So many people want to come in and like, you want to be seen, you want to be recognized, you want to be heard, but why are we wearing a mask and saying, hey, see me? You know, like, it's not theater.
Dom just recovered from double hernias, and you had a surgery.
You had double hernias.
Yeah, I had a double hernia surgery, and I was telling him I'm so, I'll call it crazy, but in a good way.
Yeah.
That, so yesterday was the 4-week mark, and I was told at 4 weeks you can get back to like being active in the way that you normally would, obviously within reason.
Yeah.
Meaning lift more than 10 pounds and like work out.
Yeah, yeah.
And I took today off so I could work out all day.
Yo.
Just for that reason alone.
Yo, okay. All right.
And it worked out well. I could be here and listen to you two share your stories and
Yeah, I love that.
contribute
He's
to
like,
the
I'm
convo a little bit too. And then hit the gym right after this and
That's
just
dope.
be in it. I couldn't wait. Actually, truth be told, the last 2 days I worked out.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, this is my favorite thing about being a coach, because everyone does confessional. Like, it doesn't matter.
couldn't wait.
People just tell on themselves. Like, I'll go somewhere and they be like, my diet is like this because on 2 years ago, I was eating at Magellan's. I don't even know what the fuck Magellan's is.
Yo, that happens to me every
doesn't
day.
matter. Yeah,
Every
I'm
day.
dead serious.
Some dude walk up to me on the street. I just gotta tell you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know you.
See, it's this is what it, and this is why, like, I wanted to sit down with Dom. I wanted to sit down with Dom because number one, you get to know about a person when you talk and get to talk and chat with a person. Even more than that, barriers need to be broken. Things need to be talked about. That's why we do what we do and how we do it, right? So when I said, let me be honest, tell Dom, he said, I felt the apprehension. We never talked about that. That wasn't something like, I was like, yeah, I definitely not. It was just literally something that was like, yeah, that's, he's like, yeah, I'm like, that motherfucker don't want that. Like, literally in my head, like, what's scared? I say all the time, I got an old angry black man on the inside of me, right? And I'm like, he be talking so much trash. And I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be disruptive, and I want to get back to helping that way. Like, I want us to be in our community. Literally what we do, the ethos we're creating is necessary for Rochester, and I want to share it. But that's one of those things where, like, my own fear has stopped me in spaces where I've had to just move through it without talking about it. You get what I'm saying? A lot of times, I voice things as I'm experiencing them. You see me in here, we ain't gonna get into all that, but you see me in here do that. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. We'll just be talking. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna work.
Figuring it out.
I'm scared.
So I would like to know more. I would like to hear more about that story. So like, you just said
no big deal. That's what it is.
you just said they let you know what yesterday that you could go back.
Well, I was told
4 weeks.
when I had the
4
surgery,
weeks,
at the 4 week mark, because I was like, I wasn't worried about the pain. I wasn't worried about when can I go back to work. I was going to be able to work as soon as possible. When can I start working out again? And they're like, well, about 4 weeks you could really start trying. And I'm like, okay, 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I literally,
Just wait.
I made a PT appointment just so I could get before the surgery to make sure during the recovery period I'm doing everything within the limits.
Yeah.
I was telling him before we were chatting, I'm like, I'm gonna be the Aaron Rodgers of hernia comebacks.
Yeah.
Because the way he came back from his whatever he had his Achilles so quickly, I want it to be just getting back to what I do, because I don't want to say it defines me, but it keeps me going, right? It keeps me giving purpose to my day, is being active and moving. And then when I'm active and moving, I'm also interacting, because I'm at the gym, I'm at a class, I'm doing group fitness, whatever it is. Like, it's just kind of where I feel my best self. And so I wanted to get back to that as soon as possible.
Come on, man. It's like, and this is like, this is why it's like I knew we were going to be like kindred spirits. So I always meet people. So the reason why I'm sharing this, I don't say this often, but I'm going to say this on camera. And if you doubt me, try me, right? Anybody, I don't care. Everybody always says they want to work out with me until it comes time to actually work out. And then I'll be like, I'm not, like, there's a bunch of savages in Rochester when it comes to the fitness game. I mean, legitimately. And I could introduce you to a lot of them, but I know there's ones I don't know, right? So I would go spaces and be like, yeah, let's work out. And they'd be like, cool. And every time someone tried to break you, right? Like, they always try to break you. So now we're finally at the space where we built up, And we're like, all right, we're gonna go work out with other crews and other stuff. Like I'm gonna start doing that, reaching out and meeting more people. It's like not to create, to say we're better, but to show what we do fucking works, right? You put on 30 pounds, June's put on 30 pounds, John put on 30 and lost 20, and I'm talking about within a 5 to 6 month period.
Yeah.
And you fellas are dumb strong. Like anywhere else, pistol squatting with 50s and like insane stuff that you don't see regularly. I'm dead serious, and we do it in here normally.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was laughing because Garth was like, he can't. He had my back all tight, you know what I'm saying? And then he's doing back levers like it's easy.
Yo, those
Name
back
another
levers yesterday,
space.
yeah, facts.
How many spaces do you know doing back levers? Like,
I don't even know what that is.
that's it. You know what I'm saying? We'll play with it a little bit because you gotta hurt it. We gotta be very careful.
Yeah. I'll watch you guys try it.
Right, but it's like one of those things where we started training in a different way, and I was like, yo, this would be dope if we share it. So I would go work out with other people, and they'd be like, nah. They're like, yeah, anytime. And anytime it would come up, we would never work out together. So
I'm excited to share what
I stopped
we built
announcing. I would just go space.
here. Just show up.
Yeah, no one knows who I am. I'm in the back, hoodie on, right? No apparel. Yeah, I'm just here to participate. Fucking ripping stuff apart, going in, and then like, all right, thanks for the class. You got to join our gym. Actually,
I own a gym. Then you rip off the layer of GID underneath.
well, it was one of those things. The crew used to be here. I talk about them all the time because they helped me start my calisthenics journey. Easy Work Fitness.
Oh, Lee.
Yeah, you know Lee?
RCSD, man. We know a lot of people.
Fair. So
He's not in Houston, right?
Literally, yes. We were literally gonna rebuild Easy Work together. Like I was gonna do GID, he was gonna do Easy Work, but his calling took him to Texas, right? So because of that, it was like, but he like kind of was trying to pass me the torch. I was like, I'm always doing that. Like you see, it's not everyone thinks I just do things. I'm like, I don't know about this shit though.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Like, and as we kept talking, I'm like, okay. And then I see what we do, and I'm like, okay, right? So now it's that space again.
Okay.
That space, yoga and the fitness thing coming back, right? Watching it happen is crazy.
Yo, watching it happen is insane right now.
Yeah,
Like,
you get what I'm saying?
people are too strong, but not only that, like, people are showing up in droves. It feels like droves.
Because it kind of is.
Yeah.
And people are really strong. And I'm talking about like physical is a manifestation of the mental. Like if you really pay attention, watching ladies swing 100-pound kettlebell is insane. Right? The average pace they hand them 35s.
Yeah.
Our ladies are swinging hundreds.
Right.
Like our ladies got push-up game, swinging hundreds.
Pulling up.
Right? But literally working towards pull-ups, right? Like it's different. And I'm not saying haha, we're better. But I am saying try us. At the same I'm not saying we better, but
No mixed messages here.
If you want to know, like definitely come out and train, please.
I like that because I think part of what I wanted to build in community is, we just spoke on competition earlier, and I think there's a negative connotation around a lot of words that you just stick with, and sometimes you have to change your change your definition because it's not the actual definition of the word.
Fair.
Competition, I think a lot of people avoid, but I think competition is the fastest and best way to grow. You know, to grow exponentially. If you are trying to stay on the heels of someone who you think is better than you, like, you're gonna do your best.
Yeah. I'm hoping, I'm saying this, I don't want to date this, but I'm saying this. I'm hoping that we become a primary space for healing through movement, right? Like, legitimately, because, I mean, look at Step, look at Devy Dance, look at anything we do here, right? If you pay attention to what we do here in general, it goes back to that. Everything goes back to joy in movement, making it a lifestyle. A lot of spaces talk about a lifestyle, but I've seen people pick it
Walk it up,
for
yeah.
real, and like that's dope to me.
That is the
I'm not
healing.
saying it doesn't exist other places. That I'm not even questioning. There are some dope spaces in Rochester. Shout out to Nova Fitness, Knockout. I still love Samson's. I train there every once in a while. I'll just go there and just train. It's one of our premier powerlifting spaces here in Rochester, or bodybuilding spaces, I should say. And there's so many dope spaces, but I guess we'll call it the ethos. The ethos here is necessary for everybody to feel welcome. You understand? There's a lot of people beating themselves up trying to get better, but if you notice here, we don't do that. Right? I don't even tell people, I'll be like, you gotta lift heavier, like just to lift heavier. I'll be like, nah, you can do that. right? Like that's our conversation. Our conversations do that. And sometimes it's very much so like, hey, I know you can do this. And other times it's like, shut the hell up and pick that up because you can. Right?
I saw you guys doing it as I was watching you guys
Depending
finish
on
up
what you
today.
need,
Yeah.
right?
The ladies were like, no, you got that. And she was like,
Yeah.
she got it.
With no question, right? Like,
And that's just playing around. It wasn't even class was over.
yeah,
she
we
was
were
just playing.
literally done playing.
Just
Like,
play that's a big part of what we do in this space is play.
Yeah.
I think as adults, and you say it all the time, as adults, we do need to return to play because if it is a return, that means you lost it. That means
Facts.
it's still in there somewhere. It's like riding a bike. Riding a bike is play, and you never forget. So like we're just trying to get back to.
Well, here's fun fact to play with, and Dom can attest to this. The older we get, the less we literally enjoy movement, right? Even more so, again, the older you get, the more muscle you lose quicker. So you have even your elasticity and your literal muscles get smaller. So you have to stay on top of it in order to, again, you don't recover as well, as fast, right? I mean, come on, double hernia is not something you can just recover from. You have to do the process to recover. Like he's not gonna wake up and it's just gonna be great.
Oh, we're healed.
You get
Let's
what I'm
get
saying?
to it.
Yeah, you're not going right back to where you came from. Now, as a 20-year-old, you'd bounce back pretty goddamn quick, right? Like, and that's true. But as an older guy, you're like, all right, let me make sure. I go in the gym now. I'm out there stretching and doing plyometric work, and people are like, haha. I'm like, nah, but I'll still dust your ass. Though.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, you see me do it. People
Just
will be
doing Tai
like,
Chi.
Coach ain't fast. Okay, all right.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
find
he
out.
fast.
I'm having a moment. I'm now, it's like the first time, like, I'm the old guy in the room. Is that what you calling me? I'm the old guy.
Facts.
I didn't realize I was the old guy until right now, man.
Listen.
Thank you for that. I'm glad I came today. Now I'm the old guy.
Being the old guy is dope though.
It is,
right,
though.
and it's dope because as Chow would say, we get to set a new precedence, right? Like we get to set the tone and help them really learn what strength look like. Again, I see cats lifting heavy, short range, right? Cheating the movement, not owning it. And then we'll have conversations. I'll talk with somebody like my boy Ramsey called me out the other day. He was like, man, Linden did squat every day for a whole half a year. No miss. Lunges, a half a mile or mile lunges every day. No miss. Right? And I'm like, he's right. Like those moments were the moments where I really realized this fitness shit was different. Just because, again, the norm is you cannot squat more than 2 or 3 times a day. I'm squatting every damn day and getting to the money. I'm talking about, we not squatting 135. No, you squatting, let's say bar, and you jump by damn near 50 pounds or a plate every single time until you can't do a max. You do a max attempt every day, right? So, talking about hernias, that's a great space to get hurt if it doesn't work. You get what I'm saying? Like if this wasn't a test, tried, and proven method, and I had tried this and gotten hurt, I'd have been like, yep, I hurt myself, right? But I was smart during that time. I leaned on Westside Barbell, a coach named Louis Simmons. He was one of my first mentors in the fitness game. Chris Gethin, Louis Simmons, and now Coach Darius. Those are my three big guys. And Louis Simmons runs Westside Barbell. Westside Barbell has some of the strongest powerlifters on the planet, but they move like athletes. If they go run a 40-yard, they're fast. Like they're not going 12 seconds to run a 40. Now they're running in 8, and they're big. I'm talking about 200-pound guys. That's fast as hell.
That is fast.
You get what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, this different. This is why. What is happening over there? So that's why I started training like that. And ironically, again, I was telling you before, I was a bodybuilder trying to learn how I could get, like, I ain't have legs like that. That was one of the first things they told me in my first show. Your legs ain't good enough, right? They said your calves need work. Say you got great shoulders but no chest. I'm like,
Okay.
I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, damn it, because they dissect you. That's what they do.
That's the job, right?
That's literally what you signed up for. So I'm trying to figure that out, but not go the unnatural route. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's a hard thing to do. So I'm like, how I need to train in a way that gives me something that no other space can give me. Again, Cal Mung, triphasic training, squatting every day. All of this is part of the Louis Simmons, right? I can really get into this stuff. I know you interested in stuff like this. That's the only reason I'm talking about it. You got GPP and SPP, right? You got general physical preparedness and you got special physical preparedness. General physical preparedness makes you better at everything. No matter what you do, this makes you better. Specialist for your sport or thing you want to do. So we train in a way like to make everybody strong. And again, we doubt the method until we take it somewhere else, and then you see it and you're like, that does work.
You're like, you've
right?
never done this before, but you've been coming here. Try it out.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I'm like, yo.
Remember I trained the girls over at MCC? I took their team from like at the beginning, none of them could do pull-ups except for like 2. And they were I think one of them was in the Marines. So she did pull-ups from that time. By the end, she was doing behind the head pull-ups as a girl for like 10. Right? And every girl could do 2. Also, every girl on that team could now clean a 100-pound kettlebell with 2 hands and squat it. Like we went from, you get what I'm saying? Like, and this was 2 months, 3 months. It wasn't like, I had a whole year. It was 2-3 months. Meaning that the body had the potential already, but it didn't know how to do it.
It's a technique.
You get what I'm saying? So like they did get stronger, but at the same time, again, they didn't know how to control their bodies.
Repattern.
These girls was running people over. London just cracked somebody
Yo,
and
I
took her out
know.
of the season.
I know. She out for the season.
For a football, one of the girls over at MCC trained with me, and she came in and was all excited. She was like, Coach, I took somebody out. I said, what?
Check the video.
So she literally, they took video of it. So
And what sport is this?
This is football.
Oh, okay.
They got a women's league now.
At MCC?
Yeah. They got a women's
interesting.
team like for football. So London plays, and she was coming off a knee injury, so her knee was super swollen, and she came here. It's like I know you're gonna get me right. Let's do it. In 2 months, she back on the field and literally hit somebody hard enough to take them out of the season. Like, I didn't mean to, but at the same time, when it works, it works. So I wanted to ask Tom more about what he was doing, so we can talk about that.
I've been hearing you guys talk so much, man. I'm just happy to listen. Like, one thing I've been working on as a man, as a person, is like listening without interjecting my thoughts, because I think it's natural. Right? I always want to like, oh yeah, me too, or I can say this, and I've just been listening, and I lost the laundry list of things I wanted to say to you guys. But I do want to get back to the hoop in the high school part at one point in time before we leave, even off camera maybe. But yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I like I like the direction that you guys are taking. Again, you're opening. You're calling a yoga league here, right?
Yes, that is one of the things I'm a part of right now at Flower City Yoga League. That's really cool. So I think that's how we connected too, through social media, through Brett. And Brett is someone that I kind of have linked with recently, just through being in those spaces, right? So like the yoga spaces and these events, and put myself out there to now create these spaces.
Mini
and
retreats, dog. Like,
don't
shortchange the shit. Retreats in spaces that haven't done retreats.
Yeah.
Like the hotel, I think what hotel was that with the roof access? I forget.
The Penthouse.
Thank you. They've done stuff like that before. That's not unnatural for them to do.
Correct.
But the space you just
recently we did Green Zebra, a catering business, has a little like event space, and we went there and did a full day retreat where folks got to engage in movement. We had professional chefs who own the space, right, to be able to teach people how to make some recipes or to cook and eat intentionally with a certain purpose in mind. That's a healthy purpose. We did breath work. We did meditation. We had folks, most importantly, right? So for me, and this is like emerging as like I call it my golden thread, whether it's real estate or doing these kind of podcasts or retreats, events, whatever it is bringing people together through like community and having discussions about whether we come from a different background or look different, talk different, act different. We're not that different. And then the things that we are different make us great. So let's talk about how we're the same too, to get to appreciate those differences. And so when I do retreats and events,
I told you I wasn't the only one.
I didn't.
We kick it off and we do circle, and we just get out of our own ways, and we're spending a day together, in this case, or sometimes multiple days over a weekend. Like, let's open it up and feel comfortable and get to know, oh, well, you had that same experience too, or you felt that same way. It just makes it so much easier to engage than in the break or at lunch in dialogue. Oh, I heard you say before, yada, yada, yada. And people just start talking. And that helps me, because I'm not, like, I may appear extroverted at times, like you said too. I'm really an introvert. It's funny how that comes out different ways, different people. But like, I appreciate those opportunities and creating those spaces whether it be through a spiritual practice or just through movement, whatever it might be, to have folks just kind of get out their own way and just connect.
Yes, sir. And I love the fact that, like, when he was, again, I've seen it done in a lot of different ways. I've seen the things done. I've traveled spaces and places. And Rochester does this thing where we like to be kind of just separated in all our attempts to help people heal. So to see someone just weaving through space, creating opportunity for everybody was interesting. And I wasn't paying attention at first. I was like, whatever, man, because I've seen it so many times. So I was like, whatever, it's an attempt. But then I saw it being walked out, and I was like, that's my people, right? Like listening to that. Me and Brett have talked so many times, and when someone will try to bring us together, it's interesting how that hasn't worked yet. And then you came along, and I was like, this feels like it's supposed to be something that we can do. So I didn't even, at first I was, again, hesitant. That's just my natural nature. But after that, I was like, you know what? Let's just sit down. Let's talk it out. Let's set it up, like, legitimately. And what we talking about doing in space, growing the holistic part of what we do.
Absolutely.
Legitimately, we got so many instructors here, but not enough space for them to teach. Like, we got she is a art therapist. We have one of the most prominent artists in our city who comes here, and they all want to do things along the lines of creating more holistic wellness and health stuff, and they're all like, whatever you do, Linden, we'll back. And I'm just like, like, that was literally what happened. And then you reached out, and I'm like, okay, again, these things are supposed to be happening. I just haven't built them yet, and I haven't felt the space where it was. And I've been on calls, I've talked to people, I've had different conversations, and I can be honest and say, never felt right. And if it don't feel right, I'll ride it till we're done. But at the same time, I may not sign back up. Fair? Hike yoga felt good. The only reason we took a break there was because Ashley we had the kid, right? Like, so, that'll stop you from going to every event.
Yeah, that was it.
But other than that, we loved there. And again, partnering, doing more things. It's time to get back out there. We done built the thing here. Now it's time to take it outside the walls. Yes.
I love that message. Like, when I do things or I'm a part of things, I also like the idea of whether it be the experience itself, right? So creating experiences where if you're an expert practitioner, you can get something out of it, or even contribute and lead part of it. Or if you're just hesitant, like, I do this, but I don't really do that, but you're curious, giving you, because it's at the teacher in me, right? Like that differentiated experience where you can enter at your own readiness level and experience it, because I don't know, maybe you might try it and you might love it, and that might become your new thing.
Sure.
What better way to engage people is to, like, give them those opportunities, or like you're talking about, like different backgrounds, right? So or different modalities, like bringing people together in spaces that you might not initially think would come together. I wouldn't have thought 5 years ago that some dude named Brett that does yoga would have brought me to this space. But who knows, right? Like, it's just crazy how things work. And so the more you live, the more you see. It's like, I want to be a part of that, and I want to be a part of helping to cultivate that further.
The wellness, watching, and again, I know as we get older, we start to understand that wellness is a full practice. So taking that and giving it back.
You keep making these old references, man. This is like a come to Jesus moment for me, right? I thought I was young still.
One of the funniest things, like, hey, it's because, and I don't take this lightly. I at one point I didn't think I was gonna make it past 25. So for me, there's reverence in being here for this long after the age I thought I wasn't gonna make it to. So, like, I'll be like, hell yeah, I'm an old dog, and I'm cool with it, right? We was in here working out the other day. I was working out with Garth and them. Everybody, I got 5 years minimum. Like, everybody 5 years younger than me. Oh, we can't do that. I picked it up. I did it. I said, big dog. Big dog. I was like, don't be out coming in my yard barking, big dog. Let's go. Right? And he was like, got me fucking hyped. I got to try it now. Right? Like, that's how it should be. It should be this thing. Like, you'll remember, maybe, again, everybody's experience is different. Being on the schoolyard and being with your boys, and he'd do a cartwheel, and he'd be like, bet you can't do that. You'd be like, watch me do this cartwell.
Yo,
right?
kids still do that to me today.
They do it all the time. Yeah, I used to take Lauren.
John's daughter yesterday was like, bet you can't do this. She did a whole somersault. I was like, I could, but I'm not about to do that here. But that same energy, I was like, I wanted to.
Yeah, that'd be one of those.
I got stretch first,
no.
but I might.
Yeah. That was, I'd have been like, nah, I'm not doing that. If she turned around, I'd have ran by her and did it. And then I'd have been like, my back. Nah, I'm not doing that.
Got you.
That's actually something we talk about all the time. Like people be so damn tight that they can't do nothing. I'd be like, nah. See, I've always in our current season, I train for go. I don't train for show. Show is bullshit now. I just want to be able to do what I want. So I can get in the middle of a room and do a handstand. I can flip on the wall
and not
do
be
10
warm.
handstand
Yeah,
push-ups
you could do it
and not be warm.
Right.
I don't got to warm up. Like, but I move like that. Again, I'm a mover now. I've gone from the bodybuilding guy who has to be in one position to the mover, right? So as a mover, I don't have to warm up. Right? I mean, I'm going to, but at the same time, I don't have to. Right? It's one of those things. I wanted to be an athlete, then a mover, then the rest could follow. Right? So as I saw healing through movement, I realized again we do something a little different. And we got to expand that. That's the whole thing. As you said, the golden thread, community
I like
and
that.
healing. And through movement, we used to say that all the time in Easy Work. Health is wealth, movement is medicine. That is not my saying. Like that's something I adapted via the bar father all the way in New York City.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's something we learned, right? He said get your sets up. He said pull up your community, pull up your family. You've heard it. Right? So when we doing pull-ups, we taking drinks at the bar, but we instead of getting drunk, we pulling up things we need so we can be better people. Right? And that credos, moving like that, walking in excellence, that was something I wasn't familiar with previously. So again, taking that and giving it back in spades is all I'm doing. Everything you hear, anything I share, is that space. So I'm excited to see what we come up with.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a laundry list of things that's running through my mind because hearing you guys talk about, you might walk in and expect, oh, this is a workout space, but hearing the passion that you both have been sharing about, that's just like the initial vehicle to get to
Correct.
the other piece, right?
Stuff, right?
The ideas are flowing in my head right now about what might could be, right? Like, because there's so much that could happen just because some folks might come to be physical and to move their body, and that's a beautiful thing. But they might leave certain spaces with much more, and that's a goal.